Maybe it's my thing right here. What is this? I'm seeing that square come up there. What was that? I seen some square come up there and say something about sound. Can you hear me now, learning and glowing? Can you hear me now? Well, I'm getting a signal that you can hear me. So can you hear me now, learning and glowing? Let me know if you can hear me, sweetie. And so again, we break this down to a science because everyone has been pushing this narrative that hoodoo is just a bunch of root work. No, it's based on healing, beloved. We didn't have no regular ancestors, a lot of regular ancestors out here just throwing work. That's not how that was done. Okay? These people had a prayer life. These people had a relationship with nature. They were in alignment. And hoodoo was created much more than just, um, these rituals and spells. It was the way they healed themselves, the way they had to stay connected to the land. But we're going to break it down here today so no one can have any misconceptions. Hello, Ray. Hello, Mitch. Hello, Shanita. Uh, if for some reason that you're having trouble hearing me on TikTok, go to YouTube live stream. Hello, Linda Torres. I hope you can hear me, TikTok family. Okay, give me just a moment, and we're going to get started. We're going to jump in here because I also, again, I've just dropped a very interesting lecture in. Okay, good deal, Deborah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let me see. Can you hear me over here? Because I might have this thing down. Okay, because there we go. Uh, so again, we're going to break hoodoo down to a science. I know what you've been seeing, and I know you have probably not heard many people talk about it in the context in the way I talk about it, and I break down the science of hoodoo. Why? Because I've been studying it for so long. I've been practicing for so long, so I can break it down to a science. Okay, it's not important that you learn spells. It's important that you learn the components of hoodoo so you can tap into your own magic. We put the cart before the horse by following somebody else's ancestral magic. Hold on for just a moment. I'm going to come back here. We're going to keep going on because this is going to get interesting. I promise you. Okay, that was kind of getting on my nerves. I had to fix that, you guys. Okay, so let's dive in here and see what's going on. Hey, Ashun, Yemi. Hello, hello, hello. Hoodoo is not just a spiritual practice, it's an ancestral practice. Okay? It was born out of lived experience of our ancestors who carried wisdom, resilience, and spiritual signs through enslavement and oppression. Because hoodoo is rooted in ancestral veneration and survival, healing ancestral karma sits in the very heart of the tradition. Did you hear what I just said? Hey, peace family, you're live again on TikTok this time. African no hyphen here. Hey, thank you for being in here. Okay, again, this was created again to heal, especially when we break down. We just did a lecture in the Know Thyself, helping people understand the ancestral wounds that we carry and why our ancestors created hoodoo. Ancestral communications is central. In Hoodoo, we build altars, light candles, and offer prayers to our ancestors. These practices are not simply rituals, they are a way of opening the line of communication with those who came before us. By doing this, we acknowledge their struggles, honor their sacrifices, and invite their guidance in healing the unfinished business of the bloodline. Again, you're picking up hoodoo and you don't even know where it come from. You don't even know your ancestors' history and why they created it. I think I'm going to switch over to YouTube. Okay. You don't even know why they created, but you want to follow what somebody else follow. not in alignment, don't know if your ancestors want you doing that type of magic, if they even want you doing that at all. Many hoodoo practices like spiritual baths, uncrossing rituals, or burning specific herbs are designed not only for personal healing but also for clearing the heaviness of ancestral burdens. This is why it was created, because they knew that stuff, that trauma get passed down in your bloodline like that. It can set up in your body. It can create illnesses in your body. Okay, because it's born in the mind first. Every illness that I see, again, after you start healing, you will start seeing symptoms in people and know what kind of issues they have going on with them, what type of emotional irregulations is going on with them based on what they have going on. You can kind of tell their family history. But if you ain't healed and you out here doing this other stuff and you trying to heal, or trying to heal other people, and you ain't healed, that's not gonna work. Okay, that's why we do them spiritual baths. Again, it's a psychospiritual modality as well, because we didn't have no psychologists. We didn't have no doctors to go to. So we had to get in alignment with nature and use these spiritual baths and natural elements that kind of shift us and open us up to healing. When a practitioner performs these cleansings, they are not just removing personal negativity, they are also uh, breaking cycles carried through generations. That's what the baths are for. But no, you want to do a spell on somebody, hex somebody, instead of sitting down asking yourself, why do I want to do this? Why is my feeling so hurt when now I want to do this? I haven't talked to my ancestors or nothing, but I want to do this because of my own feelings. I'm putting my own feelings first. A lot of that stuff be trauma. All that family garbage that you got up in there that you haven't let go of, but you still want to keep toting those bricks. And then you think you can bring it up into spirituality. I was watching a young lady the other day, her video, she said, oh, she did the tarot. The tarot told her she wasn't gonna pass her test. The tarot told her uh, where she lost the keys, but she got scared. But you bought the tarot. Now you're gonna call it the devil because it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Instead of, calling it the devil, and it told you weren't gonna pass your test, it was telling you that you probably need to reschedule that test. You probably reschedule it another day. You think you're prepared, but you're not prepared. But you say you want divine guidance, and then when you get it, you call it the devil. Make it make sense. See, y'all, and this why. And she said she saw everybody else doing it. Stop doing it because you see everybody doing it. See, this is what people doing, and they not ready. A lot of people want to get into hoodoo, and you're not ready. You're not ready to get up in the morning. You're not ready to fast and pray. You're not ready to get disciplined, but you want power in your hands. Really? Make that make sense. That's why I don't show you work over there, because if you really wanted to work, your ancestors would show you the work. You wouldn't be looking to nobody else. You would read and sit your butt down and learn from your ancestors. But that's not what you want to do. A lot of you. And I do apologize. I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to get upset with you, and I'm not blaming anyone. I know that these practitioners come here and show you candles and workings, but again, there is more context behind it. The things that we have to do to move our work along. It's just that simple. And then you start doing this stuff, and you get with these practitioners, they're giving you psalms and candles and spells, and then when it don't work, you're kind of lost. And now you have a practitioner telling you need to clean your house, and you need to do no, you need to sit somewhere down and heal and talk to your ancestors. That's what you need to do. Go back to the beginning. But you learn the hard way. You getting in here trying to somebody just showing you work. That's not what you need. That's not gonna get you far if you're not ready to do any self-reflection. Hoodoo emphasizes the importance of confronting one's own wounds and behaviors. This mirrors the healing of ancestral karma. That's what you're supposed to be. That's ancestors' work. and deal with our triggers, fears, and destructive patterns, we are often addressing inherited traumas. Shadow work within Hoodoo clears space for ancestors' light wisdom to shine through us more powerfully. And yeah, you got them family members on the altar, you doing something, but what are you working with? Wounded family members. Some of you working with wounded family members. You know that wasn't right. So why would you work with wounded family members? This is why we get you over there. You get over there with us. We get you straight in alignment with healthy ancestors. Take those family members off the altar. Start doing your shadow work. Break down your family tree and start looking at it. Look at those characteristics you've gotten. Backbiting and any other uh, addiction or beliefs that don't no longer serve you. Any other narcissistic, heavy, again, toxicity that you're carrying. Because they're in there, because we got what, 500 years of generational trauma, especially in our community. We got issues and want to reach and do some magic and then sick our ancestors on somebody, and we ain't even honored the ancestors. We ain't even healed. We walking around here just wounded, got all kinds of sores and stuff on our mind and our hearts, just wounded, but ready to do a love spell on somebody, ready to hit somebody, but don't want to sit down and do any emotional regulation and say, why am I doing this? Why do I feel this way? I'm just gonna tell you, and I'm not gonna come here and make it pretty for you, because Hoodoo is not pretty the way it was born out, the way we had to create it. That's why it has so many components to it. Hoodoo is sometimes misrepresented as being about spells or quick results, but its true depth is revealed when we understand that each work and each ritual, each prayer is part of healing ancestral karma. When we cleanse ourselves, we cleanse our lineage. When we invite blessings, we uplift the generations. When we change thought patterns and behaviors, we break cycles that have weighed on our families for centuries. Okay? That's what we do. That's the ancestors' work. You want to know why you feel stuck? Why some work don't move and some do? Start doing your work and you'll start seeing shifts. Start doing the shadow work. Go deeper with your spiritual practice. Some of y'all say you spiritual. I'm so spiritual. I just do this. I just do that. I did. Do the shadow work. Do the shadow work. Your ego. You'll be sitting yourself down somewhere. Some of us try to pick up this up, and we're egotistical. We're egotistical. Some of us pick this up and we're egotistical. We have, no plan on doing any self-reflection or introspection. Healing ancestral karma, this is where we turn pain into our power, oppression into liberation, and survival into thriving. Because you got to move in a place of thriving. That's what, again, you get in the Know Thyself membership tier over there. We go deep over there. I break it down. We go into the psychological components, psychospiritual components of Hoodoo. Because at its core, that's what magic is. If your mind ain't right, your magic ain't going to be right. It ain't going to be right. Because that's how your ancestors, these spirit guides, that's how they communicating with you through your mind. But if you still got wounded thoughts and old beliefs and old types of trauma playing in your head, you gonna refuse the information because you ain't ready to hear it. You don't know when to take a no. And sometimes your ancestors will tell you no for your own good, for your own protection. You say you want them in your life, but then when they get in your life and start trying to guide you, you want to try to take the wheel. See, that's why we break that down in that Know Thyself course, so you will know when to sit yourself down and let spirit do it and get out the way when spirit is moving. When your ancestors move, get out the way, get somewhere and sit down, be quiet. You know, I already told them what you need them to do. It's out of your hands now. See, we teach you that. And when you start doing that, you start seeing your ancestors show up in your life. You won't be doing a whole bunch of hexing and all that stuff. You be too busy doing spiritual baths trying to get in alignment with your ancestors. That's what the baths are for. When people hear the word hoodoo, many think about magic spells, charms, and rituals. While these practices are part of the tradition, they only scratch the surface of what hoodoo truly is. See, you don't know what it is. You don't know the history behind it. You had root workers using this to heal people mentally and spiritually. They couldn't go to no psychologist. Somebody that they probably been essayed by the master for years and got all that trauma on them like that. So now you got a root worker that got to go in there and help them move out of that trauma. These are the kind of things that they had to recover from. And these are the things the kind of trauma that was passed on to us. That's in our genetics. It's in your DNA. And you're not going to really see it until you start doing the shadow work and look at the dysfunctional things you have normalized being in a toxic environment. Some you don't even see, and some of you just like toxicity. You just like toxicity. Some of you just love toxicity. You love the backbiting. You love the gossip. You love the negativity, the going back and forth, the ratchet mouths and the ratchet minds. Some of you like that. And then that trips me out. Some of you will reach for hoodoo, and then when it backfires on you, it catch us with you. Now it's the devil, it's evil, and not no, it's the person. It's you. Don't blame it on nothing else because you wouldn't get in alignment with your magic. Don't get mad at the tarot cards because you wasn't ready for the truth. You wasn't ready to really deal with that life. You just following everybody else. That's where that's gonna get you. You say you ready for spirit, but when spirit really show up, you're scared now. That's why you run back to church. Because over here, you do the work over here, spirit's going to call you out and let you know. Either you shift your thinking to improve things or you're going to fall susceptible to any and everything. At its core, hoodoo is holistic medicine, a sacred system that brings healing balance to the mind, body, and spirit. And when you start understanding hoodoo like this, and especially when you start doing the shadow work, you deepen your relationship with your ancestors because you're able to see the wounds and frequency and the things that was passed on to you by looking at the family. This is what your ancestors really want you to be doing. Your ancestors don't want you sicking them on nobody. They don't want you just using and calling on them for everything, and you are not clearing out any type of blockages in that line. That trips me out because I tell them in a minute, your ancestors ain't told you to do that. Get somewhere and sit down. And ain't nobody told you to do that, but maybe some family members you got up there that was raggedy, and now you letting them guide you because that's what you gonna get with that. If they was hurt and trauma that had crazy behaviors, that's what you're gonna get when you put those family members up there that wasn't right. Probably need to recalibrate your altar. Okay. This is what hoodoo is really back. I know what you're saying up here, but they ain't giving you much context about what's going on the back scene. You have to move the work along. It's just more than just leaving that candle or leaving it there and just walking away. No, you're working it. You're actively getting your mind, your spirit in alignment with the work and move it along. That's why we say the Psalms again, to get in that frequency and that mindset to move the work along. That's why we do the fasting. But some of you are not ready to do the hard work, to get discipline in it, and to do any introspection, because before you even start helping anybody, you supposed to be to heal yourself and heal your whole life. I wouldn't even be helping people the way I do over there had I have not been healing, because I wouldn't have an experience, my own personal experience. A real healer heals from their experience, that the medicine is within you. The hoodoo is in you. When you start doing that work, you start reaching for all sorts of spiritual baths. Your ancestors start leading you to put things together to heal yourself and get your mind together. Is that happening? And you definitely wouldn't be coming up here, I disagree with coming up here showing that work, because it's misleading. It's lacking more context for you. You don't understand that this is a science. Not only is this root work, but it's also psychospiritual, where you have to get in alignment with these energies to use them. It's more than throwing herbs and oils in a candle or whatever. It's a way of life. And that's what people don't understand. This is a way of life. You make it a way of life to stay in alignment with these universal energies, with these natural elements. Same thing with Mayat. You can go back to Mayat. Mayat was the same thing. Okay, we go back and review all this information, so you will understand this. But nobody wants to read. A lot of people want to put the cart before the horse. We have to get our mind together to be able to master ourselves in these energies. Then you're looking up talking about, why didn't it work? Because you wasn't doing the work. When you do the work, it works. Where you doing the work? In hoodoo, the body is supported with herbs, roots, natural elements drawn from the earth. The mind is strengthened through affirmation, prayers, ancestral wisdom. The spirit is nurtured by working with divine forces, ancestors, and the unseen realm. When these three aspects come into alignment, because again, we're treating the mind, body, and spirit. This is a whole modality. And I just did a really good lecture on there about psychosomatic illnesses, and naming the psychosomatic illnesses, and how hoodoo comes into play when we start doing that hydrotherapy that they call spiritual baths with herbs and things like that. Same things our ancestors used to draw out these wounds that can set up in our body. That's what this ease is. Okay, you got all these negative thoughts in your head, and you're steady doing negative magic, but you don't understand that you're messing with negative spirits, because you don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand the forces that you're messing with, because you don't even understand the workings of your mind. And most of these spirits are going to be communicating through your thoughts in your mind. So if you're using negative thought forms and stuff always to hex people and stuff, them the kind of spirits you dealing with. And you don't know how to come back from there and get grounded. See, there is a science to this. We don't reach out and start doing anything without understanding our energy and how these energies communicate with us. Need to know that, because most of the time these spirits are going to be connecting to you through your mind and emotions. And if those things are out of whack, you missing messages. You don't know how your ego is too big. You're letting your shadow again take the wheel. And we need to know the difference in when our messages are coming from us, or coming in from our ancestors or our spirit guides. We need to know that. But if you don't know yourself and you haven't healed your wounds or anything like that, you don't know your own thinking or psychology, you haven't did any self reflection or introspection, you're going to be missing and hidden with these messages. I'm breaking it down to you like a science. I know they haven't explained it to you like that, but I break it down to a science to you, so you will that there would be no misunderstandings. Because when we're dealing with angels, when we're dealing with our ancestors as well, they are part of us. They are a collective consciousness. They are a part of us. Okay, and then you wake these things up. You got to remember these angels are a part. They're within you, and so are the demons too. So when you start saying all this, crazy stuff, these 72 go ahead experience that you're calling up, these entities that you're calling up within yourself, and now you got a spiritual psychosis because you didn't understand the components of magic. You thought you could just go in there and start hexing people, and now you got these spirits stuck on you because you didn't understand the components of magic. You didn't understand how energy works. You didn't know what you were conjuring. Now you get some people that's doing that, they do that often, and they know there's a darkness that sits in them. Had a young lady, she was talking about her teacher, and she said that's all she did was, she was an expert at hexing, but again, the dark, she felt this heaviness inside of her because she never did the work. She just went in and started doing this spells. And they'll convince you once you get in there, they'll convince you don't need to work on yourself. They want you to be egotistical so they can keep running the show and have something to feed off of. But because you don't understand, you don't understand the workings of magic. You don't understand how your mind works. You can get yourself in trouble. It's better to have a good foundation. So you're talking to your ancestors. You're in alignment with the work. You have been doing work. And sometimes usually when you get in alignment and start doing the work, you do less magic. You will be less interested in that. You're more interested in doing your ritual and staying in alignment and keeping your energy, everything flowing. Hello, hello, dancing. Hello. We got a Pearl Bailey. Who else? We got an Amber, the Sun Goddess. We got a few in here. Welcome, 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 TikTok family and YouTube family. We're breaking it down today. And I don't know what's going on here because I think as practitioners we should have already broke this down to you and help you understand instead of bringing here showing you stuff and you not fully understanding the components of magic, the components of hoodoo. Yeah, it looks like magic. Once you start doing hoodoo, you realize, yeah, it's magic, but not really. Because you have to get in alignment with it. Anyone who is doing some sort of work, they have to some degree they have to be in alignment with it. I don't care what they say. You have to be in alignment with it. That's how these energies work. Even when we talk about angels, there are certain angels, if they don't vibe with you, you have to move on. Then you have certain angels that work with certain people. You'll have people to say, hey, I work good with this, and they just pass it on. And you have spirits, some spirits don't want to work with you because you're not on a certain frequency. You have to move on. So you don't understand this. High money, beauty, wellness. Okay, so you don't understand this. So it's good. Sit down somewhere, reaching for stuff, and then injecting yourself up. Because you don't want to sit down and learn nothing. You want to be entertained. Hey, Tina Cole, you want to be entertained. You don't want to learn nothing. You want to be entertained. You won't know how sick your mind is until you try to sit down and go through that first course over there that we have. Because over there, you're gonna be minding your own business. The focus gonna be on you and what you got going on and nobody else. We're gonna focus on how you contributing to what's going on with you. And once you start seeing what you got going on with yourself, you're going to be one to use that hoodoo to take care of you. Some of us are addicted to excitement. We're addicted to backbiting. We're addicted to gossip. We addicted to following people. We addicted to doing dysfunctional stuff because everybody else do it and we do it. You can't have no mind like that in hoodoo. You can't have no mind like that. You can't be a conformist and be in hoodoo. Some of y'all are conformist. Some of you are conformists, and that's why you can't tap in the power of hoodoo. And that's why a lot of these elders don't want to share this knowledge with you because they know you are leading with materialism and ego and not with spirit. And see, you being led by solely by spirit over here. This conjure over here. We work with spirits. Understand that. This is our ancestors, everything. They had to go back to hoodoo. You want to be healing your body? Go to hoodoo. You want to be healing your mind? Go to hoodoo. You got a problem that's going on with money? Go to hoodoo. Even them workers that was going to that, it's a certain way they had to live to be able to access these energies. And you think you're gonna wake up tomorrow and do it. They had to be healed. They were in alignment with what they were doing. This was a way of life for them. The power of hoodoo is not just in rituals, it's in alignment. When we attune ourselves to the rhythms of earth, the cycles of the moon, and the wisdom of the plants and minerals, we are nurturing our inner world in harmony with creation. Understand that. That's why I break animism all the way down so you can understand animism in hoodoo. Everything is alive, but no, you're picking up stuff and throwing stuff in there and not having any respect or sacredness for the herbs and stuff that you're using. You just want to know what it do and then throw it in the thing. You ain't say, well, let me look at this plant and see how it look. What else does it do? Is it easy to grow? Is this something that I can grow? How does it look in the wild? Can I make it a tea out of it? You're not slowing down getting to know it. I mean, and it's right there. Sometimes it's right there in our face. I have so many resources over there and lectures to break everything down. But what I see around, with people, they do not want to sit down and read a book. But a lot of people want to extract knowledge out of people. It don't even make no sense. They got audio books too, you guys. If you don't like reading, they have audio books. I put audio books up there. But who you get out of hoodoo what you put in it. So if you in it, that's why I tell people over there, you put the work in there. All the resources are there. If you need support or help, I'm there. But if something don't work, it's because you're not using the resources. You're not sitting yourself down somewhere, educating yourself. Don't blame it on the practitioner, especially when they have set all the resources up there for you to do it. You see people like that. They get in this stuff and then they want to float by like it's going to magically happen for them instead of putting in the work. Because spirit is watching you. You watching you. So you ain't gonna progress as long as you don't want to make the time and investment in your healing. So you think this is about magic? No, it's about healing. It's about getting in alignment. Before you do anything, you can't pick this up and start doing just any and everything that you want to do. I know you've been told that, but you are sadly mistaken. And I know you don't want to hear this. I do apologize, but I have to be forthcoming with you. I can't come here and show you no fancy candle spells and all that stuff and not tell you that you need to be in alignment. That's just like I can't tell you doing the work and tell you not to take a spiritual bath before you do it. Cleanse yourself before you do work. This the same thing. You have to cleanse your mind, your body, your spirit, see what's going on, getting to know yourself. So when these spirits again start working with you and elevating your mind, you will see how they interact with you. You ain't ready, y'all. Is you ready though? Is you ready? When practice in its fullness, hoodoo can feel miraculous. It can. Because when you get in alignment with it, it's just like, oh my gosh. Just like one of my members over there, she said, Miss Ben, I did what you said. And, oh my gosh, I don't even have words. I said, I know. You can't even call it magic. Because you know you did the work. But now these doors opens, burdens lift, healing flows in a way seems supernatural. Especially when I start healing and doing my shadow work and amped up the spiritual baths. I said, "Oh my gosh, my ancestors knew what they was doing. I needed that in my life." Okay, I needed that in my life, and you'll see it once you start doing the ancestral healing. Hoodoo becomes again, your eyes become open to what it really is, and again, you see the resourcefulness in it. But if you ain't doing that, you're gonna keep playing these games with yourself. You're not playing with nobody but yourself. The ancestors see your heart, but they know you serious about someone. They know you faking and jiving and all that stuff. They know that. I don't know why you think you can trick a spirit. Some of y'all think y'all can trick a spirit, but you can't. You can't. But the truth is simple. When we align with with natural elements, nurture our mind, body, and spirit, we return to our original state of balance our ancestors intended for us. That balance itself is real magic. Why you think the ancient Egyptians was, able to do the things that they were do with their words? Because they were in alignment, natural alignment with it, with the ethers, with the air, water, earth. They were in alignment with it. Okay, even I don't know a practitioner, even a witch beyond that. This is the basic foundation to any magic. The first thing that's why you'll see in occult practices what they're doing. They're getting their mind ready. They got to get in here first. They got to look at their psyche first. Because again, they're dealing with collective consciousness. And just like you'll see some of these spirits, and I think Barbara Hemmett explained it as well. These spirits also are collectively within you. And you start calling them forth. Okay, they're not outside of you, a lot of them. Again, we're dealing with collective consciousness. Everything is conscious. So if your mind is not right, it's not right. Tell them what type of experience you might have. Hoodoo is not just about casting spells, it's about healing, balance, transformation, a holistic practice. It teaches us to care for our entire being and to reconnect with nature and ancestral wisdom. I think if anybody understands this would be a root worker, someone that uses the herbs to really heal people and to make tinctures and medicines like that, and have used the prayers and things to get people not only their bodies in alignment with the magic, but prayer as well. A root worker probably, if the real root worker is probably understanding everything I'm saying right now. It is what a root worker is. Not only do they use herbs to heal, they also, again, do the psychospiritual healing as well in the mind. When we embrace hoodoo as a holistic medicine, it is truly, uh, we understand truly it is a medicine. We discovered that the greatest power lies not in the spells themselves, but in the harmony of living fully aligned in mind, body, and spirit. You will see the shifts. And some of you are not ready to get in alignment with your magic. You think you can go there and burn a candle and all is well, and you don't got to do no work. That's Christian belief. This is not Christianity. We actually have to go over here and do the psycho spiritual work, do the work behind it. We do the fasting, we do the prayer. We get up 3, 5 o'clock in the morning to move the work along. We say the Psalms to move the work along. We do the spiritual baths. We do the shadow work. Anything that's blocking it, we start looking at ourselves. How can we shift our consciousness? How can we shift our perspective to get this work moving? When the hoodoo worker understands the psychospiritual mechanics of their craft, their work becomes more precise, potent, and aligned. When you understand the science of hoodoo and you getting all this work, you don't understand why does work look like that? Why is it set up like that? What does all of this mean in this work? It may not, again, it may not turn out right because you don't understand it. You're just doing it because everybody else is doing it. Okay. And when a root worker's in align with their work, again, they can diagnose spiritual issues with the deeper insight because they know the psychosomatic impact that these illnesses have on us. They can pretty much tell you what you got going on. If you got a headache going on, you got migraines going on, and you're dealing with some heavy anger, some suppressed anger, repressed anger. Okay, you start identifying again emotions in the body that set up diseases and make the body sick. This is a science. There's nothing to be wondering about. This is what root workers do. And you get over there, high dimples. You get over there with me, especially in the Know Thyself tier. It's going to make a lot more sense because we go deeper. I go into the psychosomatic again, the psychospiritual thing because when I started to heal, I said, ancestors, what is this? They said, this is this. This is all this stuff that you have been carrying for generations in your body. You were very unaware of it. This is where a lot of our illnesses come from because of this trauma. They get lodged in our bodies. Thank you, Dimples. That's where that comes from. But see, you don't understand yourself. You don't understand, why you do the things that we do. Okay, why we keep walking in the same circle and not rising or anything like that because we refuse to go and do the shadow work and put in the work where our ancestors left off and continue to do the work to keep elevating. So you don't understand that. But a real root worker sees that. They sees that when that somebody comes in with an illness or something like that, they can pretty much tell you what is going on with them emotionally, on a mental level. They can tell you what's going on with them spiritually and what herb is going to help them with that. Again, we hoodoo treats the mind, body, and spirit. It is a healing modality. It's more than magic. Okay, when you understand these principles and when you understand how healing works, again, you become more insightful, especially when you start healing. Because I wanted to heal my ancestral lineage. I was passionate about it. So when I started doing the shadow work and breaking down my psychology, again, the ancestral messages start coming in clear because you're focusing on the things that you need to be doing. You're focusing on giving back to your ancestors and not even healing yourself, but your whole line. And they come in loud and clear when you start to do that. Why? You carry them with you. They're inside of you. You'll start to see that once you start breaking down your psychology and asking yourself questions. But as long as you asking somebody else and following out somebody else and all this sort of stuff, you're gonna stay confused. You're gonna stay confused because you ain't sitting down somewhere trying to figure yourself out, figure out who you are. You don't even know who you are. You don't even know who your ancestors are because you haven't did the shadow work. Okay? You're not just healing yourself, you're healing your whole bloodline when you do this. Having clear emotions and a clear mind is important in hoodoo. In the practice of hoodoo, the mind is and emotions are not just personal experiences. They are sacred channels for communication with the spirit world. If that stuff is all jacked up and all that stuff, your communication is going to be messed up. You're gonna be putting yourself in the middle of everything. You ain't gonna know your difference between what spirit is saying and what you feeling because you have not did the work. And you don't know how to personally get out the way when spirit got a message. You constantly got to put yourself in there. That's the ego. Okay. Many of the spirits we come into contact with speak to us not through words, but through thoughts, feelings, impressions that arise within us. For this reason, it is essential for practitioners to cultivate clarity of mind and emotional balance. You ain't got no emotional regulation. A lot of us ain't got emotional regulation, and I understand that because a lot of us suffer from severe PTSD and anxiety. We don't even know it. Hey, Kosan. Hi, Gerald Cole, Tina Cole, Deborah, everyone in the YouTube live stream. Thank you for being here. Everyone in the TikTok live stream, my TikTok family, YouTube family. Thank you for being here. This is important discussion. If you ain't got no emotional regulation and you don't know when to walk away and shut your mouth, and you want to engage because you want to be right, you want to prove a point. No, sit, get somewhere and be quiet. That's why I tell you, Hoodoo, you do a whole bunch of shutting your damn mouth. You do. And I know you think opening your mouth is defending yourself. No, really shutting your mouth. Because when you get ready to go to that altar, you stay in alignment. There is no holes in your auric field from going back and forth with people. And you go there to do some work, it's going to work. Because you never got out of alignment. You let that person be as raggedy as they wanted to be, and you kept your mouth closed. And it'll be hurting your feelings at times because you got to get some thick skin and learn how to go to that altar when you got some stuff going on with you, and practice emotional regulation. Is my feelings hurt? Is this my ego? Or this is going to be an ongoing thing with this is issue? Do I need to do some work on this issue? Tell me, ancestors, before I do anything. Look in me. Try my spirit. Try my soul. Why am I doing this? Do some soul searching. Because sometimes you ain't got to do that. Sometimes, again, you will start to see with yourself as long as you stay consistent at that ancestor altar and doing your shadow work and doing what you're supposed to do, you will start seeing a bigger flow in your life. Now, you might want to do some other little magical work you can do. Fine, you'll find that shifts very positively as well if you're in alignment. But you ain't doing yourself no service sitting up here doing hoodoo and know that it's ancestral centered and not wanting to do the work. I don't know who you playing with like that. And I know they told you put family members on there. No, not every family member going your altar. It's supposed to be only elevated ancestors on your altar. The one that's going to bring the positive shifts in your life. Okay, because we're trying to clear out the bloodline. Now, after you have did your shadow work, I repeat this again. After you have done your shadow work and heal, then you can go back and choose the family members you deem healthy to be on your altar. We want people again that's bringing in health, wealth, balance, peace, serenity, joy, happiness. Not family members that again they had whatever they had going on with them. Okay, and you probably won't see your family in a different light until you start doing the shadow work. Because when we break down that family tree, and I get you to talking, because you gonna talk in that know thyself, and I know thyself membership, you're gonna be talking. If you get over there, you probably ain't gonna like me because you're not gonna be sitting on the sidelines acting like you don't know what's going on. No, you're gonna be participating. I know if you made that investment in yourself, that's what you need to be doing. If you want to see any type of progress, you get in whatever you put in your healing, that's what you see. If you want to be just shucking and jiving and all that faking and all that stuff, that's how your healing gonna look. How can we know the ailments related to psychospiritual problems? I heard you touch on it when I joined, but I didn't hear the full thing. When we start diving into psycho, I'm gonna give you my example. I remember I was in the healing circle, and all of us had these ailments, you know, and mine was stiff shoulder syndrome. And what is that? Me trying to carry the burdens, me trying to carry everything and fix things. So now it has set up in my shoulder. The doctor couldn't tell me what happened. I hadn't injured it or anything like that. It just comes out of nowhere. Okay. That's just like, again, another one is high blood pressure. I didn't know where that came from because I'm just like, I eat good, I do this, I do that. But because there was so much rage, anger, and severe PTSD and anxiety in my family, that manifested within my body. We got a lot of us in the African American community. You're looking at diabetes, you're looking at hypertension as a hereditary thing, when really it's psychosomatic trauma, generations of psychosomatic trauma that's building up in the body because no one is doing the work to move it out. I'd said it. That's what it is. That the doctor ain't gonna tell you that. We had to talk about this in our healing. I mean, it was surprising. Once we start doing the shadow work and doing the body work, some of us went to start getting massages. Some of us started doing yoga. Some of us were meditation, doing sound healing, body work. When we started doing the work and shadow work, the psychosomatic illnesses went away because we were taking a spiritual, psychospiritual approach to healing ourselves. We were using spiritual psychology to heal ourselves because we start understanding the components of disease. So you don't understand the components of diseases. And we make it really simple of there so you can see it. That's why our ancestors was doing them spiritual baths, them Epsom salt, trying to draw that stuff out of their body because they didn't want that stuff to set up in their body like that. Why else would they be doing those spiritual baths and things like that? Dancing and singing. They knew that if they did not have a healing modality, these things would set up infection in their body. They were very aware of that. They were so smart. And you start to understand that and understand more about hoodoo as you begin to heal, because that's how you're going to be getting a lot of your ancestor communication and a lot of guidance and wisdom. They'll be showing you things to do to heal yourself. But if you ain't diving in there, you up here faking and fronting, shucking and jiving, you ain't playing with nobody else but yourself, because that's why we ain't got no initiation over here. That's why it's closed. There's no initiation over here. You follow your ancestors. You don't get access to certain things until you have done some healing work and raise your frequency. Hello, Yellow 777. I know what they told you, beloved. I know they told you you just do a little spell and all that stuff. I know what they told you. I'm sorry that you was misinformed. Okay, you actually gonna have to get somewhere and sit down and retrain your mind to connect back with nature, because again, they have disconnected you with nature, and then you have normalized dysfunction. Just because everybody doing it don't make it right. Okay. Spirit communication through the mind and emotions. Spirits often move through subtle realms of consciousness. A practitioner may feel an inner pull, sudden insight, or a shift in emotions when a spirit is present. That's what you, because if your mind and emotions ain't right, your ancestors can be there with you all the time. But because your frequency is so low and you're focused on fear, you can't even feel them there because your frequency is so low. You got that with angels too. If your frequency is too low, That's why our ancestors did dance and they did songs to raise the frequency so they could come in contact with these higher beings. Without awareness, these moments can be overlooked or misinterpreted. Developing a self awareness allows one to notice these changes, sit with them, and recognize whether the guidance is from spirit or from a personal projection. And then that's why y'all ask a lot of spiritualists, well, how they talk to you? What do you mean, how they talk to us? We got our mind together so we know the difference in our thoughts and when the spirit is talking to us. Because we know it's something that's something that we, the information that comes through, there's no way that we could come up with that. We know it's from spirit. But see, you don't know that because you entertain every thought that come through your mind. You don't question no thought or emotion that you feel. I mean, or you again, the thought that's running through your mind or the emotions you feeling. A lot of us do not question it. A lot of us are bombarded with social media. We don't. We got a diet where we just consume too much social media and TV when really you need to take 2 or 3 days of break and not do that and just sit with your thoughts and shut your mouth. Yeah, I can't post here every day. A real practitioner can't post here every day. A lot of us can't post here every day because again, we got to stay in alignment. Okay, we can't. Some days we have to have those days where we go within. Okay, how your diet look? How's your diet look? How's your attention diet look? What is you giving your attention too much of? Some of us got poor time management. We don't even put spirit in the center of our life. That's why I tell them over there too. You doing it backwards. You got something else in the center of your life instead of having spirit around in the center of your life and doing things around the spiritual core of your life. Now you got something else in the center. That's how you get out of balance. They got you thinking you ain't got time and all that stuff, but I promise you, once you start healing and you put self care in the middle of that, your spiritual uh um health in the middle of that, everything else falls into place. You time works for you. Time begin to work for you. You begin not to get so caught up into time and things start falling into place. The things that you were rushing about doing and everything, that you'll see divine time and synchronicities happen often when you put spirit in the middle instead of putting things in there that's not healthy. Make it your business to get up and do certain meditations or do certain readings. Do that 15 minutes a day. That's a very small price to pay, and it's really for your self-care because we don't know how to love ourselves. We don't know how to pour in ourselves, and some of us want somebody to pour into us. If you start doing your work over here, you learn to start again activating your own ashe and pouring into yourself and stop being codependent looking for somebody to pour into you because can't nobody love you the way you can love yourself. Okay, you're not going to really be looking for outside validation. And that's good because the more authentic you can be, the more true to yourself you can be. You got some people out here, they want to be popular. They don't want to be authentic. They scared of standing alone. They scared of being authentic. They just got to follow the crowd and do what everybody else do. They scared of what other people might think. If you going on a spiritual journey like that, you ain't going to get far. Because the spirit have you doing things and you thinking one way, they can't use you like that. Authenticity gets you a long way over here, not faking and funking over here. Can't fake over here. That's why people get from religion. They get over here and they run back over their religion because you can fake over there. You can fake with them people, but you can't fake with these spirits over here because they gonna see you. So don't get over here thinking that you gonna, trick a spirit because that ain't gonna happen. You ain't gonna do nothing but run into you, and you ain't gonna like what you see. Some people run into their shadow self, and they get so scared and they run back over there to the self. But that's you. That demon you talking about is you. Y'all want to look at that. You want keep giving it to that man so you don't have to deal with it. Putting them on that cross so you don't have to deal with you. And if you ain't ready, this is real work over here. I know these practitioners ain't telling you that, but honey, we have to wrestle with ourselves. Just like Paul said, he said, "I beat my flesh daily." Now I'm always getting myself, honey. When you get to looking at yourself and how emotionally immature you are and how short your attention span is and how you got to train your mind to stay focused, honey, you don't got time to be messing with nobody else. I promise to God. You gonna be enough by yourself. You don't got no time to be in nobody else's business. So you too busy trying to stay in alignment and keep yourself together. You ain't got time to be putting your mouth on nobody else. I'm telling you now, when you really start doing the work. I tell somebody, girl, I be so focused on myself. It's a full-time job just taking care of me, making to the self-care. Because my ancestors been through so much and had so much that happened to us. You don't even know what it takes to take care of you because you ain't even slowed down enough to look at what it takes to take care of you because you've been uh, doing avoidance. You've been distracting yourself from what the real work that you need to be doing. Okay, look, we're gonna do the work over there. I can't wait till our first meeting starts up and we start going through this first course because we're gonna break that down. We're gonna go through the family tree. We're gonna do the inner child work, the core self. Look at the wounded self. We're gonna look at all those aspects of your mind and yourself, and so you can start seeing it and taking care of yourself. Looking at the ways where you can start better emotionally regulating yourself. Because a lot of us, again, our emotional regulators are broken in some form, or our perspectives create these false narratives and beliefs about ourselves or our family. You're not going to see it. And I've heard people say, "Well, no, my family is just perfect." Oh, okay. Let me sit you down so we can start looking at your family tree. Then we start looking at that family tree and looking at stuff. They discover, oh, these are the things I wasn't ready to see. Yeah, because you had a lot of blind spots and blocks. You convinced yourself this was it, and really this is what the reality of what it is. So you're gonna get out of la la land over there. You're gonna be dealing with things really is, and when you can do that, again, things will start shifting because your mind is in alignment. You're out of the denial and illusion. You're healing. You're raising your frequency. You're doing the rituals. It all works together. See, I never make that separate over there. It makes no sense. It's never made sense to me to show somebody some work like that and they don't understand it. They don't understand the components of it. But again, I break it down to a science, and I know you've not heard many practitioners break it down like that, but I can. I can break down the spiritual science of it, the psychospiritual science of it, and then the part when it comes to the body and how it impacts the body. Because most of these illnesses start from the mind, from the spirit. And that's why when our ancestors, when you went in there and our ancestors worked on you, they didn't just give you the herbs. They said the scriptures, they said the Psalms to protect your spirit and your mind, getting your mind already open for that healing. But see, they don't do that at doctors. That's why you got people recurring, going back to the doctor and they never heal. Because the doctors are not healing the mind, body, and spirit. They have separated that. But what does hoodoo do? Hoodoo brings it all together. Holistic medicine brings it all together. And that's what root work is. It's holistic medicine. We don't just treat, again, the body, we treat the mind and the spirit. We say the Psalms, we say the prayers. That's psychospiritual treatment on top of the holistic treatment with the herbs. But see, you say you're a healer. See, when you get in hoodoo, this how you be talking because you have used this to heal you. I use it to heal myself. I use it every day. I'm always sipping on some herbs. Got some herbal tea right here, right now, lavender, to deal with my anxiety. Have literally start having to use it, not just learn about the herbs, but start using them. It's a way of life. Having to use a lot of this herbal knowledge on my child that has seizures. Having it because like the pills don't work because we still have seizures. Let's take a holistic route and let's see what happens. They think we already know that their medicine is biased. Some of it, okay, and they're not treating the mind and the spirit. They're not gonna tell you you got this illness because of what happened to you mentally. Now it has set up in your body. You have people. Multiple sclerosis is a disease. Again, comes from uh, a lot of mental stress. It comes from mental trauma, PTSD, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, hypertension. I can go on and on. And really, they need to be educating this on this, but we don't learn this at school. And really, if they taught health like this, that our emotions and that our mind is the root to the disease, we'll probably be in better environments. See, they're not gonna tell you, and they ain't not gonna tell you that the environment that you in is making you sick, especially over there in Americas. They're creating an environment to make you mentally, physically, and spiritually sick. Now you're not going to see it until you go over here and start healing yourself and you start placing boundaries with yourself and really taking care of your energy. You're going to see how much work you have to do to take care of your energy because you exposed to so much dysfunction and toxicity. And you're still dealing with it. You know how that would make your ancestors crazy if they got somebody not liking them because of the color of their skin, unaliving them, putting it on TV. It's just over and over PTSD, and you don't think nothing wrong with you, and you want to sit up and go pick up something, and you don't even know you got severe PTSD. As many times they done showed us on TV screen, them unaliving us, and you don't think you got severe PTSD and anxiety. Yes, you do, baby. That's right, Tina Cherry. We our first patient. You don't even know that. Yeah, you talking about here? I don't need to heal. I beg your pardon. Did you see your TV screen? Did you see that the systemic racism that we're still up under? That's why they say black people don't do what they call those high risk sports, high adrenaline sports. No, because when y'all walk out of the door in America, that's high adrenaline right there because you don't know if you're gonna come back alive. You got to watch what place you go to, what town you go in. We're always anxiety on 10, but we have normalized that. But you're not going to see it until you get somewhere and sit down and start trying to calm your nerves down. Try to, again, be in a peaceful state. You'll see how restless your mind is and how much you have distracted yourself. See, I know how, I understand how the intergenerational traumas in our bloodline. I understand the shadow work that we need to do because I've put in the work. But you can't see it because you haven't put in the work. Our minds were sick. They're really sick. You don't see how sick you are until you start healing. And I know you feel well. People that's crazy, they feel normal too. You got to believe that they don't think nothing wrong with them either. Okay, they don't think nothing wrong with them. Some of our parents is crazy and wounded, and you couldn't tell them that something was wrong with them. But we knew something was wrong with them. You don't think they got passed on to you? And some of us had some harsh parents, and we say, we don't want to be like them. Well, I tell you what, beloved, if you don't do the work, I promise with the right ingredients, you will become them. I've helped too many people that was on a path like that and had to give them prescriptions and guidance on keeping their line clear and letting them know, well, I've heard them say it. Well, I'm not in an environment, and baby, go to therapy, do the work. Yeah, you probably ain't happening now, but with the right ingredients, you're gonna repeat it because that's all you knew. That's what they taught you. That was the social structure they taught you. So if you're not careful, you say you don't like your mother or your father, you're gonna go out there and marry them, and they're gonna be your best friend because that is the social structure they gave you. So now you got to raise the frequency and get off that. I hope this making sense to you. See, I'm gonna talk to you like that because hoodoo is more than just spells and all that stuff. You get yourself somewhere and heal. Tarot cards are more than just about telling people future. If you ain't ready to pick, if you picking up those tarot cards and you don't plan on changing and shifting your life or doing something with your life, then put those cards down. Put them down. If you think that's how you gonna do it, they're gonna tell you the truth. Are you gonna be ready for the truth? Are you going to be ready to make the changes when it's needed? Because the one thing about those tarot cards, they're going to call you out whether you want it or not. If you ain't ready for the truth, then don't pick them up. That's why you got some people, they can't read themselves. They say, well, I can't read myself because you don't want to hear the truth. Your ego in the way. You need to do the shadow work first. You do the shadow work, you'll be ready to read yourself and it will make sense. But you don't like what you're seeing. And instead of it saying, okay, how can I change this? What kind of shifting do I need to do to change this? Because once your mind change, your perspective change, you have more insight, you can make better choices and the reading will change. But people don't understand that because they don't want to change. They want to outwit spirit. But, but if you come into a real reader, she's going to tell you what this is going on and this is the shift that you need to make to change this. Because you don't know how to read the tarot. It's telling you it's one. That's what it's supposed to do. Test the spirits, see what's going on. Do I need to make a shift? Do I need to wait? Do I need to pause? Do I need to come back? That's what it's there for. Hey, Sepia, goddess. Y'all want to hear that? And I don't like, woke up from COVID and everybody thought they can pick up magic and hoodoo and not put in no work. And here us, our practitioners, we've been doing it for 15, 20 years. We know it's about alignment and work is more than burning a fancy candle and all that stuff. It's so much more than that. Some of us had to pick this up again to change again to save our life. You get a lot of people like that. They be on the brink of death, but then they have to use herbalism to heal themselves. They have to, adopt a holistic lifestyle to heal themselves. That's hoodoo. Hoodoo is a holistic lifestyle. Forget what you heard. I'm telling you. Our ancestors wanted to heal themselves so bad, and they couldn't go to no doctor, no psychiatrist, but they had herbs. They knew how energy worked. They had their words. They had water. They had the moon. They had the sky. They had the earth. They had trees. And so they reached out to those elements, got in alignment with those elements, and start healing themselves. Got to be, because in a way, you know, you can go through all of that and survive. Okay? So again, you do yourself a disservice going up here picking this up and don't understand it. Shadow work is a vital practice in hoodoo because it clears the inner landscape of negative collective spirits and unresolved ancestral trauma that may be influencing us. When these heavy energies are left unaddressed, they can distort spiritual communication, block the flow of light. By facing and releasing these shadows, again, because you're going to integrate the shadow as well. Okay? We're not going to release it, we're going to do more of integrating it. We can make room for higher vibrations, healing spirits, and clear guidance to flow into our consciousness. Because again, they're going to be contacting you through your thoughts. If you got all these lower vibrational thoughts and all that stuff, and you know, any good thought that comes in, you got 25 negative thoughts that pushes it out. We got to get your mind on a high frequency again so you can start getting these messages. You know, and you'll be watching what you see and what you pay attention to. That's just like that Tyler Perry movie. I don't want to see the movie Stroud. I don't need that in my mind. I don't need that type of programming in my mind. Black women has went through enough. I don't need you to re-traumatize me through a damn movie. Okay? That's what you're doing. I don't want to put that in my mind. Okay, you'll be very careful about what you consume visually and mentally, and what you put in your spirit and nurture your spirit. All of that matters. You'll be very careful of the music and the things that you listen to and the things that you say and entertain. But some of y'all ain't ready for that discipline. You ain't ready for that type of diet, but you want to reach for hoodoo. It be the craziest thing to me. And most people that want to do it, they want it for the power. They don't want it to fix their life. They want it for power. They don't want it to get in balance and bring more peace and more flow and a closer relationship with God. They don't want it for that. No, they want it for power. That's why I don't like the magic thing, because again, showing spells and stuff, because it's misleading to you because you think you're gonna tap into some power and not do some work where you are sadly mistaken. Well, my husband just said that the frequencies don't hit in music like they did back in the day. They don't. Okay. You're supposed to be able to get some energy from that music. It's supposed to uplift you in your mind, body, and spirit. That's why some of our gospel songs sound the way they sound. You got some music that can again lift your frequency and help you tap into higher consciousness. And then you got some music just helps you tap into all types of violence and everything like that. Some of that music. Some of that music is egotistical, where it talk about I got these clothes and I got this. Don't nobody care. Get yourself somewhere and sit down and try to get your mind and spirit right. That don't matter a hill of beans. And if you ain't ranking in the spirit, I don't care what you got. How you ranking in that spirit world though? How your spirit life looking? I don't want to care what you doing with it. What are you doing? You're doing in the charity work? Are you trying to fix the world with what you're doing? Because I don't want to hear about what you got or what you got on your car or any of that. It makes no difference, especially in the condition that our people in. And they don't need to be listening to this mess because you're keeping them distracted from what they need to be doing. It's just a whole bunch of mess, but we have entertained this type of stuff, and it just our mind just be gone. We don't hold a lot of these people accountable that's supposed to be in our community as well. I just look at it. Sometimes you say you want to see things, and then when the spirits show you, you really wish you would sleep again. You say you want to be woke, but when you come woke, it comes. It's a bittersweet thing, baby. Well, I'm okay. It's a bittersweet thing. Some of y'all ain't ready to see. So that don't get misled about hoodoo. You get over here, and then now because you didn't want to do the work, and things are not turning out the way you expected, you want to get upset and all that. Get yourself somewhere and do the work. And some of the practitioners that's only teaching spells and psalms need to stop it and give you a better foundation and tell you this. Matter of fact, they shouldn't be showing you any work until you get in alignment and you understand the concepts of magic and you understand your limitations, you understand your strengths and your weaknesses. You understand what magic you're good at and what magic you need to work on. Not just the magic, but again, some of the blocks and limitations within yourself. Sepia goddess, I feel personally attacked, left and tell you, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to attack anyone, but I have to break it down to you like this because again, why you think we have all these occult books and magic books? Those occultists in there, they will sit down there and tell you that you have got to get your mind together. It is a psycho spiritual again energy that you are accessing. If your mind is not aligned with those frequencies, you're not going to see the change. If you are not aligned with these energies, with the changes that you want to see, then you won't get very far. Now, if you're willing to do the work, and I know it's hard. It's hard. Don't tell me I know it's hard to get in the Miss Penny, it's hard to get in the frequency of vibration. It's hard to do that. I understand. Okay, but it has to be done because healing needs to be done. You want to honor your ancestors, you want to clear the bloodline, get yourself somewhere and sit down and start healing. And stop toting that trauma like that. It gets easier once you learn how to take care of yourself and focus on you. Keep your mouth closed and don't be willing to go back and forth with people. Let them say, do whatever. It ain't gonna do nothing but build up your ashay. Okay, so whenever you go to your altar and say and do whatever, things are gonna move. You got to put again put on your grown folk draws over here. And it makes you accountable, it makes you responsible for whatever comes out of your mouth or whatever thought you entertain. See that you have to be accountable for that. You're accountable for whatever you create. That's why it's important for you to keep your mouth closed until you understand the power of your words. Say in it everything, some of the things they say, really you should have kept your mouth closed because there was no emotional regulation behind what you said. You're just leaving yourself open and vulnerable when you do that. Just be quiet. Don't say anything. You don't have to address it. You don't have to go back and forth with people. Let them say, they're going to think and say what they want to anyway, some of them. So what you say ain't going to make no difference. They're going to have in their mind what they have in their mind. Let them have it. Let them be taught a lesson. Okay? That's about all you can do with people. All right? That's all you can do. But a lot of these people are ego driven. I'm seeing it in them. And a lot of people they following these people and they going behind these people and they don't see that these folks is rotten and they are bonding out a lot of these people because of trauma. And then you say, I didn't know they was like that. What do you mean? That's the reason why you followed them, because they was like that. You liked them being petty. You liked that, didn't you? You thought that was cute. You thought petty was being cute. And so you followed them, and now you have an interaction with them, and now they pettiness hits you upside the head, and then you say, I didn't know they was like that. What the hell you mean? Isn't that what you liked about them? You thought that was cute. You thought that was cute. And now you sitting over there looking, you know, people be again, you're gonna be able to be discerning. Once you break down your psychology, you're gonna be able to look and see for yourself. You ain't gonna like everything you see. You're gonna learn discernment when you learn these personality types. But y'all don't want to learn about psychology. But that is the very foundation of magic. You don't want to learn about that. You don't want to learn about those feelings. You don't want to learn about how your thoughts, you know, create your reality. You don't want to learn nothing about that. But you want to do magic. Make it make sense. What do you want to do? Make it make sense. You want to do magic, but you don't want to learn the science of magic. These are all the components in it. That's why we do affirmations. That's why we use the power words of conjure. Okay, the power of our mind, keeping our thoughts positive. All this contributes to that. Certain things we don't do. We have a certain level of integrity about us. Okay, that's the real spirituals. They have a certain level of integrity. We're not in it for the money. Many of us know how to come here and articulate what is going on, breaking down uh, in a way where it's not sensationalized, and we're not trying to bond with you on trauma, you know, to get your attention. We can soundly come here and talk about hoodoo in the science. And if you send a practitioner that can't break these components down and break it down to you like this, they can't do anything but show you a whole bunch of spells and workings, then you need to question that, because it's too the components to hoodoo. Again, you got the healing, the root work side, and then you got again working with the spirit side. And you damn sure ain't getting far if you ain't sitting down nowhere working with them ancestors. You ain't getting nowhere. It's ancestral centered. Every time I see people showing you something without telling you, ask your ancestors first. I be like, okay, here they go with this again. Ain't told these folks to ask their ancestors, is this okay? Ain't even led with the fact that this is what my ancestors showed me to do. No talk of ancestral veneration is going on there when we're talking about hoodoo. But yet it came from the ancestors, right? Ain't that where it come from? It's just disrespectful. It's misleading not to even lead with that. Okay? Your magic ain't supposed to look like somebody else's magic. And if you read the books on the herbs and how our ancestors did something, you'll come up with your own stuff. This is how I know people don't be doing their work, because you can't come up with your own work. You can't sit down and talk to your ancestors and come up with your own work. You got to ask somebody else. And yet you have all the information there in front of you to do the work, but no, you don't want to do that. You want to follow somebody else instead of your ancestors. And you think their magic is going to work, which is crazy. When you really just need to talk to your ancestors, because I promise you, if you ask them about doing magic, it's gonna work. I ain't never had I did stuff on that altar. Ancestor said, "Well, it'd be so simple too." They'd be like, "Use this." I'm like, "That's all." Yep, that's it. I said, "That's it," and it's gonna. They said, "Hey, we wouldn't have told you if it wasn't. It's gonna work," and it worked. And I am floored every time. Okay, they would show once you start looking at the herbs, making the intention to learn, your mind, the spirit will come in. Okay, you got to get that right there. Again, get this right. I don't care what nobody told you. And a lot of us practitioners, we live this, we know this. Okay, we know this. And a lot of y'all don't want to get in here and you think, oh, I'm going to have a lot of friends and all that. No, you're not. You're not going to have a lot of friends. A lot of people ain't going to like you. I would be worried if everybody did like you and love you once you got the healing. Because once you start healing, you see how many trauma bonds you got on your hand. You see how many people for real, even family and friends. See, this ain't no easy walk. Be careful what you ask for because you're going to get it. Now, if you ain't ready to heal and you jumping over here and you think you're going to be over here and be raggedy and all that stuff, I don't see how far that's going to get you, baby. I really don't. I don't see how far that's going to get you. And I know what you're seeing now with people, I had to come here because, again, I don't want to like I said, I'm not going to really criticize like the ancestor told me, it ain't right. Why don't you come here and just talk about it? That's not fully correct. So why don't you come here and talk about it so people will be informed and they don't get out here reaching for stuff and messing themselves up or getting cheated or being misled by the information that they're receiving. I guess so, Sophia, a goddess. But we break this down to a science so you can really connect with hoodoo because, again, ain't no sense in doing nothing if you ain't ready to heal. Because what's gonna happen, you get over here and start doing kind of work you could think you're gonna do what Susan May did, and you can't do what Susan May did because you got a block right there. You can't do it right now. You got to go all the way back to the beginning, heal, do some working, some healing right there, some spiritual baths, some shadow work before you even go do what Susan May did. Sometimes it be like that. I didn't like it. It happened to me too. I used to be mad as hell. Be like, oh my God, I got this block. I have to stop what I'm doing and do this for 7 days before I even go back to this work. That's Hulu. That's why you have to continue to do the shadow work. So when you walk up to that altar, there's no blocks there because you have done the work. What you think a blockbuster is for? They showing you just a candle. No. We got to go back and do that shadow work and do them baths for 7, 3, 4, whatever days it is to start moving that stuff off of us and then bring in then that awareness of how we blocking ourselves and change those habits, cycles, and behaviors. It's psychospiritual as well. We do the work to move the work along. We call in spirit to help us do the shift and to keep us in alignment. That's how that works. I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear that. But a lot of us wanted to believe in Santa Claus, but we know that ain't real. Okay. And I think too that's kind of a Santa Claus effect of showing you all this spiritual work and not letting you know the discipline and work that it takes behind it. It really is not magic. It's a spiritual scientific application. Our ancestors understood how the athers work. They understood that. That's why they work. Okay, they understood that. Do you have a book? I need all this information. Uh no, I don't have any book. We do have a program over there on Patreon. We have 3 membership tiers. Well, no, we have 4 don't. We have the occult, which is $5. A lot of literature that goes on over there. You get a lot of literature resources. Then we have the ritual where we get you in alignment, getting you familiar with your ancestors veneration, giving you a good foundation. You do get shadow work material over there, but you do that at your own pace on your own. The same with the conjure tier. Again, the conjure membership, you learn this is somebody who again who is grounded in their practice and now they want to work with different spirits. They want to know how to work with that on their table. That is the conjure membership. And then you have the know thyself. It is the full spectrum where you get shadow work, you get the conjure work, you get the ritual, you get all of it. You get the whole thing in this format. So you can really get a good foundation in hoodoo. We get it all. Okay, and that is the know thyself tier. I think that is the most expensive tier. However, there's a lot of resources that come with that because we're going to constantly be doing workshops for shadow work, and it calls for me to be present and facilitate the group, making sure we're keeping it structured and making progress in it. I want to need to hear this, so thank you for this. You're welcome. And if you don't have a book, you should write one. I have written one. I have a book that's called Heal Thyself, the Shadow Work Workbook on Amazon. It might be in my bio too, in my link tree. But yeah, I wrote a book and then I created a course. I created the course and then when I created the course, yeah, I created the course and then I took the course and I wrote a book. Okay. I wrote the book. So again, I know how important it is. And a lot of us, and you would talk to some people, they got whatever magic that they're in, or maybe in the hoodoo, they got in it to heal themselves because the doctors wasn't doing enough. They know they needed a psychospiritual treatment and start shifting their consciousness. They needed a holistic modality, a spiritual modality to heal them. You'll see that in psychosomatic illnesses. When you go to the doctor, they'll tell you, hey, take yoga, take meditation. They'll tell you that. Why? Because they're not doing that. Them doctors ain't doing that. And they know you need that. They know they missing that. But they'll tell you that with psychosomatic illness, get into yoga, get into meditation, get into acupuncture, go into and start doing massages, schedule some Reiki. They will tell you this because you don't understand the nature of illness. They get you thinking that you catch it outside yourself. No, y'all have a created environment to keep us mentally, spiritually, and then physically sick. Y'all have made this an industry of doing this. You know what's going on with us. You know why a lot of us have this stuff going on with us, and especially if you had an adverse childhood experience and grew up in poverty, and you've suffered more than three forms of abuse, then you're gonna have trauma on you. That's gonna show up in your life as some type of dis-ease in your body. Because again, that trauma and abuse, because you didn't process it, because you didn't do the work that you need to do to move it out, it is going to form in your body. Our ancestors knew this. They knew this. That why you think they created hoodoo? They had that Epsom salt. They knew they had to draw that stuff out of them. They understood that. They understood the spiritual science because they dealing with somebody who's ignorant. We knew the repercussions of abuse and being treated like that. We knew that. And that's what I said, when you start doing your shadow work and reaching for hoodoo, honey, you start understanding your ancestors more and more. You start understanding healing. You really become the healer. The spirit start revealing some things to you. When you start, why am I like this? Why do I have this? That's real root work because you get to the root of it. You understand me? That's real root work. That's root work. You understand root work. You think it's just dealing with roots. No, we go to the root of the problem and we start working on it. That's the real healing. We don't treat the symptoms. We go to the root of it. And where it starts in the mind, in the spirit. You get your mind and your spirit working right, you can beat a lot of these diseases. A lot of people beat cancer because why? They get their mind, they get their spirit right, and they fight that thing. That's what you got to do, because you're not. You think you're dealing with the illness, but really you're dealing with a spirit in your body. So you don't understand illnesses, you don't understand sickness, you don't understand what a healer is. So you think, but you get over here and you start learning about hoodoo and trying to start healing yourself, you're gonna understand your ancestors a lot better, because you're gonna be taking them baths to get your mind, your spirit back in alignment. So this ain't no plaything, it's more than magic. And I break it down in a variety of ways. When you look at the occult sciences, I talk about animism. I talk about necromancy. I talk about ancestral veneration. I talk about planetary magic. I talk about bloodline magic, because I can break hoodoo down to a science. And if your practitioner is not able to do this, articulate this to you and break that down and point out components to you, have they really studied hoodoo? Have they really did the work? See, it became serious to me because I was trying to heal myself. I ain't like what I see. I didn't like what I see. I didn't like that. I ain't like all the mistakes I made. I ain't like the way my mind functioned. I didn't like that low frequency I was operating on. I didn't like it. I didn't like feeling heavy like that. So, honey, I rest for that hoodoo. I sure did, baby. Saved my life. Saving my life every day. Thank you, Amber, the sun goddess. Saved my life every day. But see, you don't look at hoodoo like that. You think it's just magic. You think your answer, this ain't nothing to play with. Honey, it will save your life. This will save your life if you let it. And some of these diseases, that stuff going on with us, we need a psychospiritual approach. And they not telling you about with these illnesses, just like I tell you when you get over there. Don't stop going to your doctor and doing what they say. Add this to it and watch how much improvement that you make. I don't want you to stop doing what your doctor said, but start adding the psychospiritual components and watch you make big shifts. Watch that illness ease on out of there and keep consistent with it. Because really, we're really spiritually bankrupt. A lot of us, we're spiritually bankrupt. So you got to again start filling up the spirit. That's why them things was able to come in there and them diseases was able to come set up in your body like that. Now you got to go in there and tap into your asha and your spiritual power and dispel them things, you and your ancestors. So you don't look at it like that. But see, a real spiritualist, a person that's did the work, when we look at this, we see the spiritual impact. We see it on a spiritual dimension. You're just seeing hypertension. I'm seeing trauma and anger stuck up in the bloodline, and now that thing that manifested as hypertension that need to be taken out of there. It's a spirit. Okay, we're gonna break it down over there at Tin Cherry. Okay, for finding out where it come from what. Learn how to tackle that thing. Okay. Now I'm not gonna say you ain't gonna feel no emotions, because it's good, because again, learning why is that emotions coming up? What is it trying to tell me and show me? That's how you get psychic information. Why am I feeling like this? What is this emotion telling me? What is it in myself that I'm not seeing right now? We never ask these questions because we don't never want to look at ourselves. We want to look at everybody else, TikTok, whatever they got going on, but we don't want to look at what we got going on. And really, you are the most important factor in here, because you are the creator. When you change, your reality changes. I didn't like the way my mind did either, Tina. Sometimes, honey, I had to sit, and I still do sometimes, because the mind will still try to go to in survival mode and start reaching these lower vibrational frequencies. I have to get somewhere and start playing some music, start journaling and writing, or go to my ancestor altar and start talking to them and telling them what's going on with me. And see, if you don't have a plan in mind or anything like that, you haven't been focused on yourself, it's easily to get again go back into our old habits. But when over there, that's what we do over there, helping you gain more of a regimen, more of a self-care. When you find your emotions or your mind is off balance, learning how to go ahead and start taking them spiritual baths, sitting at that altar when you're feeling like that, to start trying to shift. That's what it's there for. Okay, it's there to help you. And once you start calling your ancestors, they see you doing that, you're gonna see yourself start making shifts. Like they say, the Lord only help those who help themselves, the same way with the ancestors. They don't see you wanting to help yourself, why would they help you? If you haven't called out for them to help you, why would they help you? If you haven't put in the work to help yourself, why would they help you? Yes, hit the nail on the head, Miss Penny. Okay? A lot of y'all don't want no help. You want somebody to help you get over. You learn, you start thinking like the colonizers. You need to be healed. And you want somebody to give you something for free all the time. You're thinking like the colonizer, them folks stealing and think they are entitled to get something free. I don't know what's wrong with you. Okay? Through shadow work and conscious transformation, the hoodoo worker creates an inner sanctuary where spirit can communicate clearly, turning the mind and emotion into a sacred instrument for guidance and healing and empowerment. Now you'll see that naturally, especially when your thoughts are high like that. I've had people come in, and I don't do it intentionally, but if your mind is on a high frequency and you're thinking again, with high frequency thoughts, I've had people to come in and want a reading, and if I'm not careful, I will give them a reading before I lay out my tarot cards. And then I lay over the cards say exactly what I just told them. Why is that happening? Because we can improve our conscious contact with God. And when we improve our conscious contact with God, our higher power, our ancestors, those divine guidances flow through us freely. The colonizers do nothing for free. Everything costs for their God. Yep. But they also want something for you for free. Colonizers always want something from us for free. They want to always take from us, then give us hell and charge us rent. But they want to willingly extract your energy. They want you to be willing to do that. But they're gonna raise hell with you and charge you rent. That they want your attention. They want all that stuff for free. But guarantee they ain't gonna give you nothing back. They gonna give you nothing for free. We are thrilled to announce again we have just dropped a new lecture over there about psycho disorders that'll be coming up in the Know Thyself membership tier. You guys should be getting that next week. And I mean that is going to be a very informative presentation. I've already dropped the course in there. I do advise you to start reviewing the first course to start opening your mind to it. And I know it seems odd at first. That first course, it seems little at first, but when you start doing the work, you're going to see big shifts happen in your life. Okay, and you're going to get this lecture on again about psychospiritual healing in hoodoo, and we break down the psychosomatic disorders, and I show you. We have a diagram there showing you how these things manifest in the body and showing you where the doctors, where the health industry has said, yes, we know this. But yeah, you steady keeping people sick and you act like you don't know where this stuff come from. and you making people mentally and spiritually sick, but you gonna act like you don't know where it come from. And you doing it, honey, it's a bittersweet things because again, I get so angry when I think about that because I'm just like, you people are purposely keeping us sick like that and then making money off us. And then to act like you don't know where it comes from. Michael Jackson went wrong. They don't really care about us. Free market, free lies, free death. Yeah, free trauma, free confusion, free market, free lies, free death. You sure right, time stamping army. Ain't lying. Okay. But that's what it's about. You don't do yourself any service by sitting up there reaching for hoodoo and not understanding the history, not honoring your ancestors, not going in grabbing the wisdom by doing the shadow work because there's wisdom in that. I promise you it is once you start doing the work. Is it easy? No, no one wants to look at themselves. They want to think that they are the best people in the world. And no one is perfect. And it's time you realize that. You need to know your strengths. You need to know your weaknesses so you'll know how to get yourself in alignment and the things you need to work on. But long as you don't know that, you can go out here ragged and make mistakes and not take accountability for your energy. You're responsible for your energy. You pick up magic and you don't understand that because those spirits gonna treat you like you understand. And then you want to run somewhere and get upset because you don't understand spirit. You don't understand what's going on. You don't understand these energies. So now you scared. You don't know what's happening here. Okay? It was like a light came on when I came across the old video and asked if that course was available. Oh girl, I'm so happy you did. I went back and forth with that Tina. I was like, how I'm gonna do this? I know there's value in here. And I know they can benefit from it, especially the ones that's serious that know they need to be healed and they know they got some heaviness on them and they're dedicated to the work that they're trying to do. I do want to offer their service. I do have the skill and experience for it. And so I prayed about it like I told you I would. And I said, this is what we're going to do. So I'm happy that we do have that course available. And I'm happy that I can jump in there and be able to be present and facilitate the course. And I promise you, if you work this program, you will see results. Okay. It is not a magic wand, it is work. I think that's what a lot of people scared of. We want microwave pop in the microwave and it come out beautiful type of results. We don't want to put in no work, and when we hear that we have to put in some work, we're scared. We want to run. Okay, but unfortunately, that's how magic works. That's how this science works. You have to put in the work, and when you understand hoodoo, y- you won't be so quick to come out here and show somebody a spell knowing that they don't know the actual context of what's going on because that's what's happening here. Okay, that is what's happening here. And so again, in this lecture, we're going to be talking about psychosomatic disorders, how the body expresses its spiritual imbalance, why true healing requires addressing not the physical body, but also the mind and spirit, because we've been misinformed about that. How hoodoo function as a form of psychospiritual medicine, blending ritual prayer and root work to restore wholeness. That's what we do here. And when you look at hoodoo again, it goes a way back for me because I can see the shamanic and animism practices within hoodoo. That's how they have labeled it. Okay, that's why we look at animism. Okay, that's why we look at the psychospiritual components. That's why we look at necromancy. Okay, I can break it down to a science to you. Some people just telling you hoodoo, psalms and herbs and all that stuff. You don't know where to start to make sense of it. we break it down over here so you can make sense of it, so you'll know what books and stuff you need to study to learn more about different things in hoodoo, because hoodoo has many components. It's got the root worker side where you got people that go over there, they do healing, they work with nothing but roots. They treat people. That's all they do. They love that side. Then you got some people that conjure people. They know how to work with spirits. They know how to call on spirits to come them help them come in to do some healing. And you got some people that know how to do it. They're all around good at all of it. You know, they're grounded in it. They family have given they have learned a variety of rituals to keep things in order. And the only way you gonna learn is you get somewhere and sit down and talk to your folks. Talk to your ancestors, your most elevated ancestors. Practical remedies and spiritual treatments for common issues like headaches, insomnia, stomach problems, and chronic pain and anxiety. So when we start going through this stuff, I start talking about different herbs and different things you can do if you have some of this stuff going on with you. The herbs and stuff that you can take, the baths and stuff you can take uh, to help you start healing. Okay, so we talk about that too. You really gain an understanding of when and what to use when you have certain ailments or you're dealing with certain issues. You really, I think, with this course, you learn more about hoodoo, why, when. Okay, ginger is a game changer. Yes, it is. When you learn how and when to use this, and then it becomes medicine, not just for you, but you might catch yourself treating clients too that come in with this knowledge. You're just going to gain more insight when you go into this, because we'll be talking about these different ailments and issues that come up and what herbs and things that you can use to again s- help heal some of these ailments or treat some of these ailments. Get it all come together there. Okay. So for those of you that's in the ritual and the conjure, I can't force anyone to do shadow work, but I definitely put the resources there for you to do the shadow work. I will constantly keep reminding you in the conjure, really the other memberships, you'll constantly hit, I'll keep reminding you. I think I even got some audio shadow books out there. Okay. I got an ancestor a shadow workbook out there. So I mean there's plenty of resources of shadow work. There's not that we don't talk about it in those other membership tiers there. We do. But I give you the opportunity to work on that if you're on your own. If you can't do it on your own, you can't afford therapy or a group circle, then we have the Know Thyself tier that is the total self mastery. You're going to be the total self mastery because we're going back to self because we are the magic. We are responsible how our magic manifests. And so when you take, again, when you're in that membership, uh, you will see the progress if you're serious about doing the shadow work. If you think you need that, maybe you don't need that. Okay. But it's definitely there. That option is definitely there. Okay. The ancestral wisdom that reminds us illness is not a punishment, but it's a messenger guiding us back to balance. So again, when you start looking at that stuff, and it really makes you feel good too when you're able to heal yourself and you see yourself get back in the balance, you just start looking at things more differently. Things just look differently to you. Your whole thinking pattern, it kind of changes. But in order to do that, it's going to take some time. You get somewhere and sit down and start reprogramming your mind. It is not a wand. It took some time for for us to get crazy and sick like this. It's gonna take some time to get our mind back well, because they took time to program you with all this crazy stuff. So it's gonna take time to program you back to natural where you need to be naturally. Okay. The lecture is over there is again it's both educational, deeply empowering, giving you tools to view health through a holistic lens. By combining hoodoo practices with psychospiritual awareness, you'll learn how to not only relieve symptoms but also transform the deeper patterns that cause suffering. Okay. Whether you're on a healing journey yourself or want to deepen your understanding of hoodoo as a part of your spiritual medicine, this lecture will inspire and equip you with practical ways to restore harmony to your life. Okay. So it's important for you to understand. And they've talked about it a little bit here on TikTok where they talked about how trauma gets stored in the hip, how it gets stored in the back. They've talked about it a little bit here on TikTok, and you can actually start seeing it in you and yourself. And sometimes you don't notice that your body is impacted by it until you slow down and start doing the work, and your body start again coming in natural rhythm, and you'll start noticing you got pains in a different area. But because you've been working on high anxiety so long, you couldn't feel the pain. That's how it be. And once you start working on the anxiety, slowing yourself down, your body come in harmony. You start seeing all the work that you need to do on your body. See, when you know what hoodoo is, you ain't got no time to be working on nothing on nobody else. If you knew how much you need to be working on yourself, you'll leave other folks alone and stop trying to do work on people. You would. You would. You really would. You wouldn't be so quick to put some work on somebody. You'd be trying to figure out what's wrong with you and what you need to do with you. That's how I need to be. And then when somebody do ask you to do some work, you gonna dot your I's and your T's and make sure they ain't raggedy before you put yourself out there. Okay, Miss Penny, I joined the Know Yourself group, but I was trying to access some books in the first level group, and it was telling me I need to upgrade in order to access the group. Which group was that? The first level group. Was that the occult group? Some things you won't be able to access in the occult study group. Now, if you get in the Know Thyself group, you'll be able to access everything. And sometimes, if you just did an upgrade, it might take it a while to go through. That people have had problems like that, and that's something with Patreon. I'm sorry, baby, but I know that occult level you won't be able to access certain books. Uh, but let me know what it is, sweetie. Drop me a message in our community chat. But if you did just a upgrade, it might take a minute for it to go through. Okay. But if it persists, let me know what it is so I can look at it and double check. Okay, if you can post it, drop it in our community chat, that'd be cool. I don't mind looking at it. If I can fix it, I'll fix it. But if you just upgraded that tier and it's not opening up, I think I had one person that had that problem, and I think they either had to log out and log back in or wait a day or two before it let them in there. And that's a Patreon thing. I don't have control over it. If I could, baby, I'll fix it. I promise. But if that's not it, let me know in the community chat and I'll take a look at it and see if there's something that I can fix. Okay. But again, you guys, baby, hoodoo is not that. Hoodoo is not that. I know what you see, and it's just such a disservice that people come up here and they show their work, they show these candles, they show all this other stuff, and like they ain't got to put no work in it, and then they doing work for other people, lighting these candles and all this stuff, and not telling people, you got to put some ashay behind it. There's some work that you need to do behind it if you really want to see this. And they can set a candle for you until you have burn. Okay, that's what they doing. But there's no real work. I'm in the Know Thyself group. Okay, and you can't access what? Okay, you may not. I don't know what's going on there. Sometimes, I'll look at it, but sometimes it take it a while to go through. I think someone else had that same problem when they switched from the ritual to the conjure, and they didn't have full access. And then I think within a day or so they was able to access it. Okay, but I'll look at it, beloved. I'll look over there and see what's going on there. So just and I'll message you and let you know what's going on, what I see. But if you did an upgrade, it might take a minute to cross over, or probably need to log out and log back in. Those are the solutions I have for you. I'm sorry, sweetie. Okay. But that know thyself, because I've seen so much progress with that shadow work program. I've seen it work. I have worked it. I have worked it with other groups. I have seen miraculous shifts in people, and people that again were not in hoodoo, but they were using, again, all of us there doing our shadow work trying to shift. Okay, and we knew that what we had going on was spiritual, because the doctors, they just was not given, again, the insight. But when we walked in that healing group, it all started making sense. We were able to give more insight to each other and dive deeper, really, into these illnesses. And shamans know this, true healers know this information. Anybody who has healed themselves, they understand what I'm saying. Okay, and it will be more clear to you once you start healing. Things just start clicking once start healing on yourself. More insight, wisdom, and information start coming in. Where is it coming from? It's coming from your ancestors. It's already in you, but you're not gonna see it if you don't do the work. Okay, I would try to log out and log back in. Thank you. Okay, I hope that works, sweetie. If it don't, then we're gonna have to wait till it shift, and then I'll take a look over there and message you and let you know what I find. Or you message me and let me know it's you, so I know, because I don't know what your name is under there, baby. So that's why I'm telling you that. So you message me so I can look at it, and then I can send you a message and let you know what I see over there. Okay. This is true hoodoo, you guys. And I know you've seen different things on here, and that's been popularized. And I seen it happening. That seemed to have happened after COVID. And so I understand why it happened. People trying to shift and again create a job for themselves. But if you have not did the work, truly did the work and the study and the research, don't come up here jacking up people's lives like that, taking their money, overcharging them for readings, overcharging them for spiritual services. Don't do that. Don't do that. Go find you something else that you can really do. Don't do that, because you gonna put yourself in harm's way doing that. Okay, you got some of these spirituals are ridiculous prices for readings for spiritual services, and this is not that. Okay, a lot of us have a purpose, and that is a call by spirit to do the work. Not and I'm not saying that we don't want to be paid, but we definitely not gonna charge ridiculous prices to help somebody. That's especially, it don't make no sense, especially in the hoodoo community. You need to stop it. You need to stop. You really need to check yourself and look at that, because that's ridiculous. And then you ain't got nothing to offer nobody. And these usually be the people that's offering y'all all these dang on spells, want to tell you all these spells and stuff. They ain't got no good foundation, but I always want to show you something. They can't give you no good foundation. Again, I don't know if y'all looking at that, or y'all just like being exploited. Hey, in tune with Shin. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Kaylee Allen. Hello, everyone, my TikTok family. Hello, all my YouTube family. They're taking advantage of you. And real, us that did the work, that truly out here, truly trying to help people with our gifts, that truly have insight and experience and wisdom. we know that's a whole bunch of shenanigans. And they come up here, same thing happened with, bless his heart. We got some people in our community, they some sales people, they good calm people, they good with that conversation. They're good entertainers with their tongue. We see that bless his heart with Dr. Irma Johnson. M- Very good pitchman, very good presentation. Okay. Very fast talker. Tell you what you want to hear. But did he do what he said? No, absolutely not. And still trying to exploit us. And he really need to get somewhere and sit down and ask the ancestors for forgiveness and work on himself. He need to focus on himself. Nothing is gonna work until he focus on himself and fix himself. And what he's seeing is what the mess that he's seeing is what's going on the inside of him. Now it has manifested on the outside of him. And really he need to use uh his psychological expertise on himself. That's what he needs to do. The same medicine he was trying to give to the people, that's the same medicine he need to give to himself. And he's not doing it. And you will see a lot of people out here that can talk a good game and they would talk the good game, you know, and we are so easily to be swayed by a fast talker saying what we want to hear. And then the people say what we need to hear. We don't want to hear that. We want to be entertained. We want somebody who's going to cater to our wounds, that's going to trauma bond with us. It's going to help us feel comfortable. Well, you ain't going to grow being comfortable. And if you get over there with me, you're probably not going to like me because, again, if you come in those group, you're not going to be standing by with your mouth shut. That's the time to be opening your mouth. So you need a lot of people don't know when to open their mouth. You need to open your mouth when it's time to heal, when it's time to talk about what's going on with you. That's time to open up your mouth. That's time to be doing some releasing. Some of us we don't know when to open our mouth. We open our mouth for the wrong reasons at the wrong time sometimes. You see, you don't know how to use your conjure. You don't know how to use your tongue. Okay? You don't know why you need to keep it shut. There's a reason why our mamas and daddies, some of them hitting us in our mouth. You need to be quiet. Shut up. Be quiet. Okay? You be a lot to do a lot of again because there's power in your mouth, and you need to know when to open it. You can open it to heal, or you can open it to destroy. And I'm gonna show you how you can open it up to heal. So you don't know how to use your mouth. You don't know how to use that conjure, that wand, that tongue, that wand in your mouth, your tongue. You don't know how to use it yet. You learn how to use it over there when you start to heal yourself. You see the power in your words when you start releasing some of this stuff. How the weight comes out for you. See, you don't understand that. You don't understand why our ancestors got up and they testified and they gave their testimony and they were doing some releasing there. So you don't know that. You don't understand the science of none of that. Okay? But over there, again, we bring it all together, help you understand, help you bring it down, break it down. No matter what membership that you're in, you're going to understand what you're doing and why I am saying the things I say. I don't just tell you to do something and don't explain things to you. I don't just tell you to do a psalms. Matter of fact, I won't even give you a psalms. I'll let you look at what resonates with your work and you choose your psalm because again, these verses need to make sense to you for your magic to work. Yeah, we have the staples over there, Psalms 23, Psalms 27, Psalms 91. Yeah, those are good for protection, good for prosperity. But then you have some workers in there that may be, again, a little different. And you might have to find a scripture, because, again, that resonates with the work you do. It may not be a song because the Bible is a grimoire. We use a variety of verses and passages that hold that psychic energy and power to move our work along. That's why we use the Bible, because of the psychic energy and power that it has in it, because our ancestors have given power to a lot of those words in the Bible. That's why we use it, because our people have given it power. And then when we say it and we say the same words that our ancestors say, it's like them standing there with us repeating it. So it gives it power, it's power behind it, because our ancestors have said those same verses, those same scriptures. They've read those same scriptures. I hope this makes sense to you. I hope it's making sense. Anybody have questions for me? Because I've talked about what we got going on. I've broken down the psychospiritual components to hoodoo. And you've heard me over and over again say your mind has to get right for magic. I don't know anyone that is, again, practicing this science that are not doing rituals and not getting in alignment with their magic. Whether witch or folk magic, whatever, they have to be in alignment with it. You have to be in alignment with these some of these natural elements in order for you to see the shifts that you want to see. I don't care what these people saying. If they can't come here and talk to you like this and break it down, you need to question them. I've seen very few hoodoo practitioners come here and break it down. The only way I've seen them talk about hoodoo is through the lens of Christianity, and hoodoo is not Christian. You can practice hoodoo beside any religion. Now, hoodoo hid up under Christianity, but it is not Christian. You don't have to be a Christian to practice hoodoo. And the Bible, some people use the Bible in hoodoo, some people don't. Some people don't use Psalms and stuff in their workings. They use the power of their own words and their ancestors. See, it don't look the same way. And what I'm seeing here is people keep bringing up hoodoo like it's Christian, and it is not. Now, do we use some of uh occult sciences in Christianity? Absolutely. Because where did those sciences come from? They came from our ancestors. They came from ancient Kemet. Do we study Jewish mysticism? Yes, we study Jewish mysticism. Why? Because it came from ancient Kemet. That, matter of fact, there's not much spiritual information we can read without it coming from your ancient ancestors. That's why we go back there. See, again, I'm gonna have you looking at this differently. I'm gonna have you looking at this from a different perspective, because you're just seeing it from one perspective, is that Christian perspective. But I'm going to show you the occult science, uh, the esoteric system, and all that in hoodoo. You're not being told that. You've been told itty bitty. You haven't even scratched the surface of what hoodoo is all about until you again start reading and studying and healing. Okay. Any questions for me? I have yapped. And I've come here and share knowledge. If you are interested uh in a tarot reading, you can DM me here on TikTok. If you're interested in the astrology reading, which I have did some of these, and I think some people are surprised when they see what's in their chart, or they think they thought their chart had this in it, and then when I break it down, it's a little different. Okay. You thought you had something in this house, and really you had something else, and when I break it down, it's different. Okay. So again, I'm going to break it all the way down. You probably think it was the what that way, and then when I break it down and correct it, it might look different to you. Okay. So again, if you're interested in astrology reading, again, we get to the root of who you are. We give you recommendations for root work, where you need to start at with your shadow work, your healing work. That's what I do with the astrological chart and break it down in hoodoo style so you can see what's up in there, the shadow work you need to do, any kind of work that you need to be doing at this time. And then I do the tarot reading, which those are $30. If you're interested in that, you can DM me. Again, let me know specifically what you want, the tarot reading or the astro reading. So just let me know and I'll be glad to assist you. Okay, and then I give a thorough breakdown on the astrological chart. The last one I did, it kind of bothered me because she was like, "Hey, I think this is different." I had to double check, and I looked at it again, and I tried again. I said, "No, this is correct." I don't know why they would think that this was in Leo. It's clearly in Virgo. So I had to go back and look at my chart. I was like, "Yeah, I did that right." Maybe she misunderstood that, or I don't know what happened there. And sometimes people think their chart is one way, and then I break it down, and I see some stuff that they didn't see before, and that happens. Okay. Anyone got any questions about either one of our memberships over there on Patreon? Again, the Know Thyself course is the Know Thyself membership is very new. And again, we're going to go deeper with this so you can understand the psychospiritual part of it, getting your mind right, conditioning your mind to improve your conscious contact um, with God, your higher power, and move a lot of that toxicity out. So, really glad about that one. Has so many resources, and we're going to be doing so many workshops. So, if you get over there, please be able to show up at the workshop so you can participate because that's how you see changes. It's not going to happen with you sitting on the sidelines and reading all that stuff yourself. It's going to happen when you work together in a group and with us. You cannot heal and do shadow work alone. I always look at people sideways to try to do that. Even when I have it over there, I do recommend that you need to be accountable and somebody there helping you do the shift into higher consciousness because we can be our worst judge. Okay. Sometimes we don't know how to get ourselves mercy and compassion, and you need someone there who is skilled that love you and want to see you heal to be able to shift your perspective and looking at yourself in a brand new way, even the issues you're looking at. And that's why it's important for me to be present uh at those workshops to help you shift and also hold the space and keep it structured where everyone feels safe when they share. You have to be in a safe environment when you share because some of the things that we talk about, we're being vulnerable, we're being open and authentic. And so having that space where that sacred space where you're not judged, nobody's trying to give you advice. We are just listening. That's all you need right now. That's what that's going to do. And then you'll hear other people because we don't give advice, but if you got an experience, share it because that's where the medicine is. So you don't have to give nobody advice when you share a similar experience. And when they hear how you came out of it, you just gave them medicine. You didn't give them no advice. You just shared an experience with them. And now you gave them a different perspective how to look at their situation with the way you got yourself out of it. Okay, well, my email is in the chat. Go ahead and drop me an email. I send you an invoice. I'm gonna need your time, date, and place of birth. I gotta complete somebody else's chart today. She forgot to give me her place of birth. I had emailed her, messaged her. I said, "Oh, I can't contact her, but I can't do this chart until she give me her place of birth." And she just gave it to me a while ago, so I'll be working on her chart today. Okay, so again. Take your time with this. And somebody telling you that you can learn hoodoo overnight in a workshop, that's not true. In fact, when you're studying real hoodoo, you're probably not going to be very grounded and comfortable in hoodoo and for about a year because there's so many components to it. And if you'll probably master some other part of it and not the other. You got some people in here are just conjure people. They just know how to work with spirits. You got some people in here, they just root workers. They just know how to work with the roots in their ancestors. They're really good at it. You got some people in here, they work good with saints. They work with nothing but saints. You got some people over here, they work with nothing but angels. And then you got some people in hoodoo they do a variety of things in it. You need to find out what's good for you. Okay? And that's what we do. We slow it down because you need to slow down and stop moving fast. And see, that's what a lot of y'all young folks don't want to hear older people tell you that it's the truth. You need to get down. You learn more when you slow down. You only gonna jack yourself up by moving fast. You're gonna see how much you're gonna learn if you slow down. If you go fast, you're gonna miss, you're gonna run red lights, uh do not pass go. You're gonna do a whole bunch of jacking yourself up. And then you're gonna go back in hindsight and be like, that's what they was trying to tell me. Yeah, that's what they was trying to tell you, but you weren't ready to hear it. You want to go out and do like other folks do. And I look at you now. You got to start back from the beginning. Should have started from the beginning. You'd be so much far ahead if you'd started from the beginning in the first place. Okay? So this is the right way, beloved. I know you haven't heard that, and no one is telling it to you like that. And I do apologize. It ain't all your fault. You know, we've been cut off from our information. And then some people, they're not fully understanding all the aspects of hoodoo. So they probably are limited in the way they can come here and talk about it and articulate it. I'm going to give them that credit. Okay. Hi, Deborah Jackson. But I can come in here and talk about it again. And the practitioner should be able to come here and talk about all its components and break it down to you like this and give you greater understanding. And if you knew that, you probably wouldn't be trying to work these spells without getting in alignment with your work. And I'm gonna tell you that. I don't care what you see up here. Are you in alignment with it? Did your ancestors tell you to do it? Did they tell you to do that? Even when you come to me and say, Miss Penny, I did this spell and did you ask your ancestors? Did you do a divination to see if it worked? Because we're getting ready to do our last tarot um, card session. I think it's next weekend. I think it's next weekend. We're doing our last tarot card session, and that we're gonna wrap everything up, and we're gonna start practicing tarot, practicing talking to your ancestors, and maybe practice reading each other. This is our last tarot card session. And I had to get that in there because, again, what's in hoodoo divination? Because we don't do anything without asking our ancestors. We don't do anything without asking the spirit first because we want to make sure that the energy is clear and that it's safe and that we're going to get results. And some of us, we out here doing spells and we just doing it because we want to do it because we feel like that's good. We don't know we should have asked our ancestors first, and sometimes you don't need to do it. Maybe if you ask your ancestors, they can shift some things and help some things change. But we don't do that. We go and see what Pookie May had on her video, and now we want to do what Pookie May do. So now y'all don't know Pookie May. I'm just making it up. But now we want to go do what Pookie May just did, and then we're surprised when it don't work. And then we go tell Pookie May, you showed me that and it didn't work. And really with Pookie May say, well, honey, yes, I showed you that, but it's a lot of other stuff that I did on the back end to get that to work. And most practitioners, they're not going to tell you that. You're going to have to find out on your own. Okay? And I just gave you, I just gave you some tea right there. I know that's not the tea you want to sip, but that's what I got. Okay? So now when you see these practitioners coming out here and showing you a whole bunch of work, know that they got in alignment with their work. That's why we do the spiritual baths. Okay, that's why we wash our head. We do the prayer work. We do the Psalms. And before we light that candle or do anything, we already in alignment with it. We already know how we're going to keep the work going on, whether we're going to do fasting or we're going to read Psalms to keep that energy again building and growing. So we will see the difference. And it's just again, you do X, you do Y, you get Z. That's simple. It's a science. But if you're not doing X and doing Y, you won't get Z. We don't just light stuff up and walk away from it. We don't do that. We do the work. Okay? We do the petitioning. We do the prayer work. But that's the part you probably don't see. Okay? Any questions for me before I close it on down? I know it's getting late over there where you are, and I thank you so much for joining the live stream, engaging, um, giving your comments, sharing your opinions. I appreciate that. Anything that I did not cover about hoodoo when it comes to it being a spiritual modality as well. Did I miss anything that confused anyone? Come on, I don't want you to be confused now, cause I don't want y'all going out there messing yourself up trying to do some of this stuff. Some of this stuff is easy. I had some girl come up there, and it was a trip because she said she did a freezer spell, and she said it worked just fine because the supervisor was getting on her nerves, and she had been doing her work, and she was tired of that supervisor, and so she did a freezer spell, and it worked just fine for her. Why? Because she was in alignment with what she was doing. Some other girl tried to do the same thing and she said, hey, it did the opposite to her. Okay. Her supervisor got on to her even more because you wasn't in alignment with the magic. You wasn't in alignment. So if it's not working for you, you got to look at and say, how am I not in alignment with this? What am I doing to cross myself up where I'm not aligned with it? Because that's what's gonna happen. If you're not aligned with your magic or whatever, you ain't gonna do nothing but cross yourself up. That's what you're gonna do. Thank you, Goddess. Have a great night and new moon. You too. That's all you're gonna do is cross yourself up. And that's a lot of what you're gonna be doing when you first start is doing a lot of uncrossing. Uh Again, because we be crossing ourselves up not intentionally with our old way of thinking and our old way of speaking. So when you first get in hoodoo, you're gonna do a lot of uncrossing before you do anything. You're gonna be doing a lot of uncrossing, and it's not your fault. You're not aware of how your thinking and your speaking is crossing yourself up. That's why I tell you when you first get over here, start just automatically start doing some uncrossing work. Just automatically start doing it. Don't ask should you do it, you know. Go with your ancestors. They already know you crossed up. Go ahead and start doing some uncrossing work on yourself. And start watching what you say, and you'll do a lot of keeping your mouth closed. Okay. No one has any questions. Okay, thank you, TikTok family, for being here. If you have any services that you're interested in, DM me. If you're interested in our Patreon community, again, the link is in our bio and our link tree, and you can get over there. I'm only taking 20 people in that Know Thyself membership because I don't want to go beyond that because I want to be able to facilitate everybody in the group. And so there is a limit to that. So I think we probably got 18 spots open now, but after that's I'm not opening it up to anyone else. So that's why I'm coming here telling you that we do have it. And a lot of people say they want to do shadow work, they want to do it affordable. Well, beloved, I have it here. I even wrote a book. I've experienced. Okay? I can definitely again hold space and help you with that. All right? So again, get over there while we have those spaces there because and I think our first meeting is going to be the first weekend in September. We're going to start course 1. And so if you don't get over there now, and get ready before we start these meetings, you'll probably be a little lost. You're welcome, Mitch. You'll probably be a little lost. That's why I'm pressing you, to get over there now before we start these workshops up, and we get in the middle of doing the core work, inner child work, the wounded self, and doing all these workshop and activities, and you're kind of lost. And the way this course works is, if we all start doing it together, we start seeing progress. Okay. But if you're kind of left behind, you're going to kind of be lost in what's going on. Maybe, and I'm not sure if I want to leave a recorder there for you to listen. But again, once we do our first meeting, we'll come up with what's going to work with us, what's going to work for us. Because we're going to be doing a lot of community meetings, a lot of community meetings. So if you're not ready to get your life spiritually centered, you probably don't want to do this. But because again, we're gonna be meeting a lot, and in order for you to see changes, you must attend these meetings. Just like if you want to see a change in yourself, you got to go to therapy. You got to show up for therapy. This the same thing, no different, no different, no different. Okay. All right. Okay. I don't see anybody asking questions. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. And I'll be coming here again, giving you updates about what's going on over there, what are we sharing over there. Lots of resources, and I would definitely keep you in the loop and consistently share informations and insights with you. Okay, you guys take care. All right, thank you, YouTube family. I hope to be able to work with all of you one day.